February 2nd, 2024. Yesterday, um, I, my one neighbor, I have this weird lady stalking me at night. She, in my apartment building, she pulls in between 3 and 5, flashes her headlights into apartments and leaves. He's got videos on the outside, uh, of them doing it. Reported to the police department. They don't give a damn. They don't. And I told him, I said, well, just leave it alone. And if something bad happens to somebody, say, well, we tried to warn you and went and find out what she was doing. I showed that video to a retired CIA agent and said it's some kind of drug thing. It could even be somebody in another building and it's some kind of thing. She's going in there flashing lights and then somebody to either leave, go pick up something or something. She said it's some kind of signal for somebody. It may not even be that they're going to break into somebody's home. But she's in there for some reason. Well, I told him, I said, until something happens to anybody, don't say anything to them. They don't care. Don't worry about it. I had told him stop saying stuff. He still went back. And he tried to tell me a Louisville police officer was bad-mouthing me. Well, you tell me a cop bad-mouths me, I'll go to him. I have no problem because it's illegal for them to. I used to date a cop. It's illegal. They can never badmouth you. Department of Justice 1729, badgering. They lose their badge, and if you can prove that they badmouth somebody, they go to jail. They are not, he said, oh, that they said, uh, uh, nothing you say is credible, uh, da 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 da. Well, I called the police department. I said, what is going on with this? And the dispatcher said, whoa, for one thing, if there is a Louisville police officer, uh, telling people that people aren't credible, not to listen to them, there's going to be a lot of trouble for that officer. Yeah, because like the officer I went out to eat with, more than one. You lose your badge and you go to jail. And if they can prove you're doing stuff like that, you go to jail. It's badgering. It's Department of Justice. It's obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, tampering with witnesses, and obstructing justice. They can't just run around telling people not to believe you. And I told her about where I was followed and rounded, almost kidnapped in front of Terry, that my house manager's niece was taken by the same person, and that my coworker Lori, her family member, was killed by the same person. We all have that same story. She's like, whoa. I told her about the 2 Perry police reports where I was followed and rounded, and then the attempted break-in. They knew where the security system, my ex was main part. She's like, whoa. I told her about the guy up at here in Hartville at that one store, had adopted one of the kids from one of the human traffickers, that she was going to go to jail and she was a young kid with a baby, and that he knew it was a Russian drug lord, that the M13 drug cartel was working with him. She's like, whoa. I said, well, I seen them up in Hartville several times. They would harass me. They were the ones down here and other places in Ravenna. I said, part of them were up there. I said, I reported several times. A lot of police got together and arrested them. And I said, they did a big raid and a bunch of them went to jail. She's like, whoa. She said, you know what? You got witnesses. You have facts. And I told her, I said, I talked to the FBI. I said, years ago. And it's an investigation. And I went on and on and on about things. She's like, you know what? Your neighbor is just being a mean neighbor bashing the police. No Louisville police officer would ever tell anybody that somebody's not credible. Don't believe them, because there'd be a lot of trouble for that officer. Uh, like the cops I go out to eat with, they go to jail for that. They can never tell anybody, even like the Tuscarora sheriffs. You can never tell anybody not to believe somebody and not to help them, and then it just makes them look like fools. Because when, like the one person I know is a retired CIA agent. Both FBI agents and CIA agents have been killed by these human traffickers. And they knew about this group in Hartville. And it was a hot mess till they got it under control. See, that's where the dispatcher said there'd be a lot of trouble for that officer if they actually said it. Said it's somebody bashing the police. See, up at the courthouse in like 2020, 2021, I had went up there, and I told you I did a speech outside the house. I mean, outside the house, outside the courthouse. And I called my sister because I know the guys that watch me eat in the bar across the street for lunch. They come out and they look at me, where's that idiot over the house? I go in. The nice Ravenna officer with gray hair, mustache, and dandruff usually says, hi, sweetie, we'll have the boys look into it. Okay? He looks upset. Asked to talk to Judge Timothy Ludick. He was busy. I go to leave. He won't let me leave. He makes me talk to Abigail Watkins, Portage County prosecutor. I go down and lady officers are there with Abigail. I start telling her about everything. A guy walks up with a file. I'm here for Karen around the house. He walks off with the lady officers. Okay, they go to walk me out, the lady Ravenna officer, and said, I want you to run around, tell everyone you know what happened to you. You hold the FBI accountable. People got away with way too much. You go tell the Portage County Sheriff. Well, I was in Aspen Dental a week ago, Monday, okay? In Alliance. A guy's on the phone. He's like, I know she doesn't know who we are around her, okay? We had them drop off that file at that courthouse. It just states no one's allowed to talk to her about the case. If she has a problem, how to get a hold of us, and we'll take care of it. It doesn't say not to believe me. It says not to talk to me about the case. And they'll handle it. FBI informant. See, that's where, I'm telling you, that's where they were even yelling at Walmart this last month. I can go back through my notes. They went up to that courthouse, some of those officers that were helping work the case. Said some guy showed up with a file, says she's an FBI informant. Nobody's allowed to talk to her about the case. It says they're not allowed to talk to me because it's an ongoing case. If I have a problem, how to get a hold of them. There's a big difference. And if these officers came up with a stupid scam of telling people not to believe people, you know what that does? It not only makes them lose their badge and they go to jail, everybody looks at them like they're dirty. And they'll never trust them. You can tell people that you'll look into something and then don't look into it. You can lie. I mean, if they want to lie to people, they can lie to people and be dirty. But if you're starting to badmouth people to other people, there's a real problem. And like they said, there would be a real problem with that officer. And they would be in a lot of trouble. That's where other officers I went out to eat with them, they go to jail. If they ever even talk to anybody about that or like that, it's badgering. So, yeah. And I told you, even the guy that was up here in Hartville, when they looked at my car and when he asked me if I seen a tall white guy with white hair, 50-ish, whitish blonde hair, clean cut, thin, nicely dressed. And I'm like, well, yeah. He grabs his chest, going like this. And I'm like, are you okay? He's like, you don't realize who that was. And I'm like, so are you okay? And he's grabbing his chest and grabbing his chest. And I'm like, are you okay? You don't realize who that was. You've seen him. I said, I've seen him several times. So he's like, that was a Russian drug lord. I said, it was M13 drug cartel here. He's like, they may have been helping him, human traffic people, but he was the one having him do it. You've seen him. You're lucky to be alive. That's the second drug lord. For it's a bet between two gentlemen. Winner takes all. They're drug lords. Set him for the cops in 18. The first one bet that he could be so cruel to her he could push her to suicide. The other one said that he could make her give up everything in life and have other people participate. And then there was more rules and law, things that they were just spewing out of their mouth. They're not laws. They're just garbage that's coming out of drug dealers' mouths. And idiots are falling for it and holding up drug dealers spewing crap out of their mouth. Like they said, it's just the drug dealers telling people what to do. If they stop doing it, it's people doing what the drug dealers told them to. You stop doing it, there's nothing. See, these people are so stupid that are doing this. Once the divorce was over with Dave, they should have just got me remarried, moved on, And then this would have just been a story I told my friends and my grandchildren of part of an FBI case I was part of. And then when the police see me out, the informants here, we're supposed to still keep an eye on her so they don't show back up. And just acknowledge me as an informant and go on, and life just goes smooth. But these people have been using this as a big scam, getting these people all acting Harry-Carry, and then they start grabbing people, and people don't tell on them because they're all so busy acting Harry-Carry. It's a big scam. Now, I want you to think about this. The scenario is so stupid of what the scam that they came up with. Nobody, like they said, nobody's this fucking stupid to fall for it. The drug cartel basically broke in my house and was chemically kidnapping me, stalking me, human trafficking me under drugs so I wouldn't know what happened. I'm being kidnapped in my own home by the drug cartel, drugged up and told to say stuff, photoshopped and washing and stalking tapes by the drug cartel. Are you in trouble for being victimized and being chemically kidnapped in your own home and being raped, and you're going to the doctor, you don't know what's wrong with you and where the marks come and why you're infected? Because they have been using amnesia drugs, state rape drugs, roofies. You don't know what happened to you? No, that makes you a victim. And the sextortion scheme of being drugged up and told to say weirdo stuff, flasher stuff, all kinds of crazy stuff. I never talked to anybody. See, these people, if they would have never said a word to me, I thought the well water was eating my skin because it was toxic. I thought it was making me so sick just washing in it that it was making me throw up and almost pass out. And I almost thought the bruising was from it either making me be anemic or I got cancer from it. I was trying to make sense out of the marks and the infection, and the only thing new was that well water. And I never seen her talk to anybody. Till the FBI case started and they thought they could just flaunt it in my face. I knew nothing, but I was bruised, sick, infected, and I was blaming everything on washing in that well water that was toxic. If they would have never said a word, I knew nothing. Okay, now are you in trouble for the drug cartel chemically kidnapping you and stalking you in your home? No, it was done by the drug cartel. Are you in trouble for them drugging you up with roofies until you say something stupid and stalking tapes? No. Them photoshopping, washing, and stalking tapes? No. I had to hear about it. I didn't know about it. See, that's where, you think of an old joke of two rabbis and a minister walking into a bar sitting down next to a human trafficker and they say something stupid. But this is where I don't even believe that agent's that stupid. A guy trying to kill his wife walks in to an FBI agent's office with a stripper/prostitute that's his girlfriend, her dad that's a pimp in the drug cartel, and another pimp impersonating a doctor selling information. And the dad has stalking tapes that's a drug dealer of fake sodium pentothal reports, and they admitted they drugged me up. And stalking tapes of drugs and told to say stuff and photoshopping and washing. And they're two pimps and a prostitute trying to scam a Fed. And an occult leader screaming she was faking 15 years ago. They couldn't come up with a better scam. That's the most retarded scam I've ever heard of in my life. Nobody's that stupid. But I'm gonna upload this. Nobody's this fucking stupid. And you know what? My brother-in-law was a private consultant for the FBI, unrestricted, did war weapons, and worked under Dick Cheney and traveled the world. That makes him CIA. And he worked at the Pentagon. His name was Craig Davis. He died March 26, 1990. Still miss him every day, even though it's been, 30 years. I wish he was alive because, like he said, his one boss was a spook. He's so high up in the government, he no longer exists. I always had the highest regard for the FBI and the government because Craig died for them. And I had teachers that loved the United States and our government and the Constitution, and they embedded it in all the kids in high school and junior high, and the freedoms that we have, and to hold them dear to your heart. I always respected the police as far as I always looked at them, the military, and the FBI and CIA as guardian angels over all of us trying to keep our world safe. And for any officer helping any kind of human trafficker and serial killer to get away with this is cheap and disgusting, and they need to be arrested as the known criminals of the crimes they're protecting. And they disgrace the ones that died. And I still respect the FBI. I may put stuff up on Facebook, nobody's this stupid, because they're not. And that's where the whole thing of it is. That agent ought to be looking at them. He did all this to get those drug dealers. And he stole my money so that they couldn't steal it from me. See, that's where this whole thing of it is. He could, like they said, Will could turn this around on them really quick. Really quick. Because nobody's this stupid. And these people, the prostitutes and pimps, are lying to people. I have charges. I have nothing against me. And then they made up this big dirty word, and I didn't even know what it meant. And they told people I was found guilty of it, and I had to look it up. And they tried to act like it meant being like lewd of the shower scene in the other room, and it actually meant rape. And my God, that never happened. Neither did the shower scene in the other room. I have one traffic ticket from 1989, and I paid my ticket. I'm a notary. I have my CCW. I'm a home health care for 2 different agencies. I can pass an FBI agent, I can pass an FBI background check in a heartbeat. There's nothing. And they're just running around lying to people. Just realize, that's why I call them the Pinocchio group, the liar, liar, pants on fire cult. I tried to move away 2 years ago, just even to a neighbor town, and they were running around telling people I had charges. And it's like, if you pull my background, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I just had a background check not a year ago. They want to know who David was to me, and that he's considered potentially dangerous from the FBI. He's extremely dangerous and very mental. And this thing of him disappearing and acting like he's taken off to Japan, and I'm telling you, he's just down at Danny's cabin. I doubt it, because you got to think of it. A 60-year-old white man marrying a prostitute from over there, nobody in Japan is going to support a 60-year-old white man from America. But his son will put him in his cabin, let him live there for free. And why didn't he just go Chapter 7? File bankruptcy. He makes $110,000 a year. Drop down to one job and make $70,000. Live in an apartment. Go through the court system. Have my alimony readjusted. Huh? And then let the courts have the house and everything else, and just walk away from his debt. And him and his new 20-year-old woman that he bought from Japan go off in the sunset and live their merry life. See, but him faking his disappearance off to Japan, running off, leaving everything with no insurance, and his accounts bouncing, that shows Dave's mental illness. He didn't care enough to be responsible enough to handle it in court and handle it the legal way. And him handing Danny his paid off truck and said, here, you can have it, but he didn't switch the title over to him. That's not giving it to him. That's setting him up. See, he did this the whole time the kids were growing up. He would set him up, and I'm like, well, no, you have to have insurance, you have to have plates, and da-da-da. And he'd say, your mom's trying to control the situation. Your mom's trying to control you. Where I'm trying to keep him safe so that he don't go to jail. And he was setting him up. And see, that's where I told my son, Danny, I said, well, you should file for abandoned title, because he left the vehicle. And then I got to thinking, oh my God, I know it was awarded to him in the court thing, but I never physically signed off that title. I wonder if I'm still on it. I call the title bureau. I am. It's still mine. I tell them what's going on. They're like, you better be putting insurance on it and plates. I said, can I? And they said, well, yeah, it's yours. So I called my son. I said, I put insurance on it. It's going to cost about $40, $50 a month. I said, I need to know if you have the original plates. And they said I can go online. I can order the tags. And it'll be legal, and then, his son can use it. And he said, well, it's not yours. And did I just threaten to take it back? No, I just offered to make it legal. See, that's where Dave's mentality of warping them. And I'm like, I just want to make it legal so he can drive it and he won't get in trouble. And because if he wrecks, they can come after me. If he gets caught driving a vehicle with no insurance and no plates on, he could go to jail. I'm trying to make this legal. And he said everybody. And then and I said, well, he was dating that Michelle. And he's like, my dad never cheated on you. Boy, is that a hawking bullshit. Like they said, even down at Oakland Apartments in Canton, we all know Karen's ex-husband was cheating on her. We all know. Everybody knew about Michelle, and they all knew about the other ones. Okay? And then I'm telling how a stripper and that Pete's her dad, and he's in the drug cartel. That's where they kicked in our door. And on the 6th day up there, and that's where I had the marks, it was them, and they were playing with me, and that's where all those weird incidences, it was him and her playing with me, and that was his girlfriend, and they were in the drug cartel, and she's a stripper. I said John knew about her. His kids called her Auntie Shell, and that's where remember on Thanksgiving of 18, I went up to John, what's going on? And he's like, oh, Mom, Melissa's just going to have to make up stuff because of the divorce. I told him you're going through a divorce, you're going to be moving out. They could never say anything bad. Remember that? Yeah. I said they were down in the basement saying how they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Papa, and Grandma needs to get out. They were making all this stuff up to Flora. I said I had to find that out a year later, and Flora ratting them out to a bunch of adults. Of course, it never happened. Of course, it wasn't true. We made it up. All kinds of sick, mean games of pretend from that stripper. And they were lying for her. I said she told a bunch of adults that they were lying. He's like, well, I'll be talking to John. I said, well, you need to, and you can talk to Dixie. She actually knew Michelle and Pete, and it was ridiculous what they did to you. A stripper and a pimp playing with me, and their drug friends. Think about it. Not in trouble for a drug cartel basically chemically kidnapping you in your home. And then on that victim, human trafficking them under drugs, and they're not realizing what happened to them because they're drugging them up so bad. Then drugging them up and telling them to say something stupid so they're sleepwalking, and then photoshopping and washing in a sextortion. Nobody's that stupid to fall for that. Nobody is. I'm going to upload this. Well, he won't talk to me. He won't answer my thing, so I send it off to the police. I need somebody to get a hold of that truck. I want it off the road. I will not be held responsible for a vehicle out there with not plated, and they won't answer me. And I talked to the dispatcher about that too. She told me I have to go to the prosecutor's office. I don't care if they sell it at this point, because the whole thing of it is I try to make it legal, and they won't let me make it legal. It's at least got insurance on it. But it needs legal plates on it. And I don't know where it's at, and I don't have keys to it, and I don't have access to it. So I need, the police to step in and get it. That has nothing to do with the human traffickers and the ongoing case. So they can actually do that for me, because that has nothing to do with serial killers, druggers, kidnappers, or things. It's just my family being assholes. See what I mean? That's the difference. But yeah, I told you, even at Faith Family Church, the sheriffs, are you interested in working Karen around the house? What's that? One of us have to watch or listen to her every day. Like they said up here in Hartville and Giant Eagle a month ago. We all know her case is a nationwide human trafficking scam, and she was part of it here, and what they were doing to her, and they were talking about it in Giant Eagle, and they were walking around and people on the phone. We all know her case is a human trafficking scam nationwide. Okay.